This evil individual was given 30 days after pleading guilty to trying to drown her child in front of the child's father for spite. Welcome back to the Political Living Room. I am Karen. This is my living room. This is my aranciata and pico de India, and it matches my sweater. We're going to have a little chat about politics. Let's get right to it. And drink them if you got them, because this is some crazy crap. All right. Portland area mom gets 30 days for waterboarding baby, putting him in freezer as test for dad. Yes, it really does say that. Let's just break down the headline for a moment, shall we? Portland area. Portland, the People's Socialist Republic of Portland, run by Democrats, allowed to fall completely apart after the Black Lives Matter riots. And the Democrats are in charge out there, which means that it is a haven for criminals. And in this case, a hell for children. So there's that. 30 days. This woman held an infant under running water with his head lower than the rest of his body, so that the water could not go anywhere but into his nose. That sounds like attempted murder to me. So 30 days. That's what the judge in this case thought that child's life was worth. But remember, the Democrats are coddling criminals. And I'm firmly convinced that what the Democrats are actually doing is coddling criminals so that our society will decay. I think that that is the goal. And so, just think for a moment. What does this say to other people who are abusing their children? 30 days in jail for trying to drown your kid and then putting him in a freezer? Cost of doing business, no big deal. 30 years. Now that might slow somebody down. 30 days? No. Absolutely not. And so other people who abuse their children in this way will be emboldened by this. So waterboarding the baby, it's just evil. It's just, I can't even. And then putting him in a freezer. There is such a thing as pre-verbal trauma, where if a child is traumatized in a certain way, or traumatized at all, before they speak, they can have cognitive deficits, emotional dysregulation, attachment disorder, which can lead to antisocial personality disorder or sociopathy. They're finding that more and more of these conditions are actually neurological, and that abuse can negatively impact the development of the child's brain and make their executive functions, their self-control, their ability to plan, their ability to understand consequences, far less efficient than it would have been had they not been traumatized. So waterboarding baby and putting him in freezer, it's entirely possible that this child will now have pre-verbal trauma that he will never be able to verbalize. So even if he went to therapy, he's not going to be able to talk about it because it happened before he could speak. And while those memories may not be accessible to him, that pain, that fear, that terror, that's in there. That's not going anywhere. So as a way to test the father, so this woman used her child as, pawn doesn't even begin to describe it. She used this kid as a thing. Like you read the stories about the women who get angry and so they bust up the guy's car. She used a helpless human being. in that way. All right, let's get into the story. Here we go. So, a mother was sentenced to 30 days in jail. 30 days. That's what the judge thought that this kid's life was worth. But I guess if your goal is to coddle criminals, you really don't want to inconvenience them with, something like jail time, because it could be, it could really mess up your abuse schedule. Okay. So after Oregon prosecutors say she waterboarded her baby and put him in the freezer during a 2021 incident as a test to see if the father cared. Sharday McDonald, 30, pleaded guilty. See, this is another thing. She pleaded guilty. She pleaded guilty to charges of criminal mistreatment. I wonder if the prosecutors wanted to charge her with attempted murder, and it was pled down to criminal mistreatment. I bet it was. So, criminal mistreatment, ID theft, and tampering with a witness after police showed up at her Gresham, Oregon apartment on October 28th, 2021 to perform a welfare check because someone reported the mother putting the baby in the freezer. How would somebody know that she put the baby in the freezer unless she was in the apartment? Now, if the baby was crying, you could more than likely hear that. But the only way to know that some kook is putting her baby in the freezer is if you're in the apartment with her. So I wonder who called this in. I wonder if it was the father. I also wonder what happened to that baby. This is it was 2 years ago at this point. So that kid, he's a toddler now. Okay, let's keep going. When the police officer was outside McDonald's apartment, she could be heard yelling at Kendrick Neal, the father of the child, "I'm about to show you real quick. You don't want him? Let me show you about this little effing baby I don't fucking give an F about." A probable cause affidavit was obtained by Fox News Digital States. Where is that kid? I hope that kid is not in her care. But this brings us to another point here. The foster care system in this country is abominable. It is absolutely abominable. What frequently happens is they take the kid out of one abusive situation and put him into another abusive situation. Even though foster parents really do have to jump through a lot of hoops and get vetted, it's very easy to lie about whether or not you're abusive. And if you've never come to the attention of law enforcement, how would they know? So this child, I will not go so far as to say the child is doomed. It is possible that the child is in foster care. He's with lovely people who are caring for him and taking wonderful care of him. But the American foster care system is really nothing to be proud of. And considering that they're in the Wokistan of Oregon and the Portland area, I don't have a whole lot of hope for this child. But let's keep going. According to WPDE, the woman was sentenced to 30 days in jail on Tuesday. Okay. And this has been working its way through the court since July. McDonald allegedly explained to the officer that she wasn't trying to harm, hurt, or kill her son by drowning him or putting him in the freezer. There are pictures of her waterboarding the child. So what was she intending to do? I wouldn't be surprised if this woman also has a long history of abuse and has had things like this done to her and is also suffering from some type of executive function deficit. Clearly, she has no empathy. Clearly, she does not understand consequences. But you know what? Neither does the Oregon judicial system. Or actually, I don't know if that's true, because if the goal is to coddle criminals and to bring about the collapse of our society, then they do understand consequences. And you could also argue that they have a certain degree of empathy, cognitive empathy, because they know that this will embolden other criminals to do the same thing. So, yeah, scratch that. What's her name? Sharday McDonald may be lacking in executive function and empathy, but the Oregon government certainly is not. Let's keep going. So, according to the officer, there are pictures of McDonald holding the baby by his onesie and waterboarding him. So what was this kid? Not even a year old? Not even a year old. Jesus. The officer said it looked like the baby was trying to hold his breath while water was pouring over his face. I just can't. I hope she gets everything that she deserves in jail. Now, she's only going for 30 days, so, it's going to be quick. Hopefully, it will be efficient. That's all I can say. This is YouTube. Okay. So, while the officer was taking her to jail, she said that her actions were done as a test to see if Neil gave an F at all. Okay, here's the thing. You know the song, Will You Love Me Tomorrow, right? But will you love me tomorrow? If you have to ask that question, the answer is no. And you know the answer is no. Adding, she waterboarded the baby to try and make Neil come back to her apartment. She allegedly admitted her actions were done out of spite. Oh my God. I'm really at a loss for words. I can't imagine what a decayed and fetid, vile swamp this woman's mind must be to allow her to have done such a thing. A doctor who spoke with the prosecutor said the child was likely unable to breathe, adding the incident could have had life-threatening consequences, of course. You're holding an infant's face under running water. For the love of God, what do you think is going to happen? And then putting the child in a freezer. The kid could have had a heart attack from shock. What is this? But, this is no big deal in Oregon. Don't people do like 30 days for like shoplifting or, if you got too many parking tickets or tax evasion and, like nuisance crimes like that? This woman tried to kill an infant and she gets 30 days. We're going to leave this here, but before we do, I just want to share this with you. Thank you very much, Fox News. Check this out. Portland serial killer dies at home after sentence of just probation. Serial killer gets probation. Go and kill some more. Go ahead. Listen. Here's what you do. We're going to put you on probation. We're going to tell you, after you've killed like 3, 4, 5 people, we're going to tell you not to do that anymore. But, if you can't work out the stop killing thing, just don't tell us about it. You know what I'm saying? That is the judicial system and the penal system under Democrats. This is why I'm not voting for any of them for the foreseeable future. This crap has got to go. All right. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great night. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.